The first strike it started with a sound low, deep, and strange. People across Earth looked up. The skies, once blue and calm, had turned dark. But this wasn't a storm, Dot. It was something worse, Dot, in every major city, New York, Tokyo, Cairo, Moscow, huge. Alien ships appeared. Their shapes were like black mountains floating in the air. Lights flashed from underneath them. Long metal claws moved slowly, scanning everything below. For 5 minutes, there was silence. Then the first strike came. A beam of red light shot down from the sky and hit a power station near Paris. The explosion was massive. Windows shattered. Cars flipped. The power grid failed. Everything went black. People screamed. Some tried to run. Others just froze in fear. Across the world, the same thing happened to power plants. Airports, defense satellites, and major communication hubs were all destroyed. Earth systems went dark in less than 15 minutes. Above it all, the invaders floated cold and quiet. They didn't speak. They didn't ask for surrender. They simply attacked Dot in a hidden galactic council chamber far above Earth. Dozens of alien leaders watched the invasion through a live hologram. Their faces were still. Some looked shocked, others curious. A voice broke the silence. "They're actually doing it," whispered a tall, green-skinned ambassador. "The Zarnok Dominion. They're really invading Earth." Another ambassador, smaller and old, shook his head. "This will not. And well, not for Earth, not for any of us." The council had strict rules, non-interference, even during war. And while they watched in silence, humanity screamed alone. On the ground, a young woman named Lena Carter ran through the broken streets of New York. She had just picked up her younger brother from school when the sky exploded. Now she held his hand tightly, pulling him through a burning street full of ash and glass. Behind them, people yelled. Buildings cracked. Fires roared. She ducked into a metro tunnel. There was no power, only smoke and darkness. She held her brother close. "Stay quiet," she whispered. They weren't alone. Dozens of people had taken shelter underground. No lights, no food, no answers. Everyone kept asking the same question. Where is Earth's army? Why isn't anyone fighting back? In a secret base deep under the Rocky Mountains, General Marcus Holt stood in front of a silent command room. He watched the monitors, each one showing a different part of Earth being attacked. Fires, crashes, ships, beams. But he wasn't panicking. He was waiting. An officer turned to him. "Sir, global systems are down. Satellites offline. The Zarnok are everywhere." Another officer added, "Should we respond now?" Holt shook his head. "Not yet." "But sir, the people—" "I said not yet." He stared at a black screen, marked Project Blacklight Standby. His eyes narrowed. "We don't show them our hand until they think we have nothing left." In orbit above the planet, inside the Zarnok flagship, Commander Threx watched Earth burn. His sharp eyes gleamed. "These humans are weaker than we thought," he said to his second-in-command. "No fleets, no counterattack, not even a warning." "Shot. They are cowards," the officer replied. "Their council begged for peace. They will kneel." Threx smiled. "No, they will fall." He raised his arm. "Prepare the ground squads. Begin Phase 2. In a small farmhouse on the edge of Texas, an old man watched the sky from his porch. His name was Daniel Briggs, a retired Earth soldier, once feared in many wars. He lit a cigarette with shaky hands as he watched the alien ships moving silently. Across the sky, his granddaughter stepped outside, tears in her eyes. "Grandpa, what do we do?" Daniel didn't speak at first. He looked at the horizon, where a city used to stand. Then he muttered, "We wait." She looked confused. "Wait for what?" Daniel slowly smiled. for Earth to stop pretending to be weak. Above them, the sky thundered again. Another wave of Zarnak ships descended. The world was in chaos. The council watched in silence. And Earth? Earth stayed quiet, but the silence was not surrender. It was a storm. Waiting. Silence from Earth Command. The alien ships circled the planet like vultures. Huge. Cold. Silent. They floated over Earth cities, waiting for anything to rise and fight back. But nothing came. No missiles. No jets. No human warships. Just silence. Commander Threx stood tall inside the Zarnak command vessel, arms crossed behind his back. His armor reflected the red lights from the holographic battlefield. Status report, he ordered. An officer responded. Phase 2 complete. All Earth satellites are offline. Communication towers destroyed. Their nuclear bases disabled. Still no sign of global command. Threx tilted his head. Still no reply? No, sir. Earth remains quiet. Threx narrowed his eyes. Too quiet. In the Galactic Council chambers, more alien leaders gathered. They watched the invasion feeds in silence. Every species knew Earth's power was growing. Some had feared it. Others had mocked it. Now, all they saw was smoke. Perhaps we were. Wrong, said a council member with silver skin. Perhaps the humans truly are weaker than we believed. Another leaned forward. But why haven't they surrendered? Why haven't they even tried to communicate? The silence from Earth was not normal. It was starting to feel strange. Under the Rocky Mountains, deep inside Earth's main military command center, General Marcus Holt stood at the head of a quiet war room. The lights were low. Screens showed blinking dots enemy movement. Nothing else. His officers waited for orders. Still, he said nothing. Then a young female officer turned toward him. Sir, people across the world are waiting. They're scared. Should we respond? General Holt shook his head slowly. No. But sir, what if they destroy everything? He finally spoke calm and firm. Let them think we're broken. He turned to another screen, one with a blinking red button marked Project Blacklight armed in the field. Earth's armies had not fallen. They had disappeared. Thousands of soldiers had gone underground literally. Bases under mountains, under cities, under oceans. Silent bunkers, full of hidden weapons. Quiet labs with secret prototypes. And all of them were waiting, not to defend, but to counterstrike. Across the globe, the Zarnak invaders began to land their troops. Black-armored creatures stepped into cities, scanning the ruins. Their weapons glowed blue. Their orders were simple. Secure Earth. Prepare for full control. But in every city, they noticed something strange. Where were the people? Some ruins had no bodies. Some buildings were empty but warm. Meals half-eaten. Showers still dripping. Lights still blinking from backup batteries. The humans hadn't been wiped out. They had left, or worse. They were hiding. In the remains of Tokyo. A Zarnak patrol moved through a burned hospital. One soldier reached for a door. Opened by itself. Inside was a child's drawing pinned to a wall. A dragon with human wings. Below it, a note. We see you. The patrol froze. Too late. The room exploded. Similar ambush happened in Paris, in Nairobi, in Chicago. In Seoul, small blasts. Precise attacks. No human soldiers were seen. But Zarnak patrols vanished one by one. Commander. Threx slammed his fist on the command table. They're still alive, he growled. They're watching us. His second-in-command looked nervous. It feels like a trap, Threx shouted. Then spring it. In a quiet forest in Canada, a Zarnak drone flew through the trees. Its scanners detected something underground. Door. It opened. A man in black armor walked out. Slow and calm. He carried a weapon the drone didn't recognize. Before it could scan, he fired once. The drone fell cut clean in half. The man tapped his earpiece. Unit 01 to Earth Command. We are ready. Back in the Rocky Mountain base, Holt watched the signal appear on his main screen. Finally. He nodded once. Begin Phase 1? The world map lit up. Underground railguns powered up. Stealth bombers launched from underwater carriers. Prototype drones activated in orbit, all controlled from the shadows. Earth wasn't silent because it was broken. It was silent because it was. Hunting. In the council chamber, more leaders were growing uneasy. Why is Earth still alive? One asked. Why haven't the humans responded? The old silver-skinned ambassador looked around and said, because Earth doesn't shout when it's angry. It whispers, and then it hits. Above, the Zarnak fleet drifted in orbit. Commander Threx stared down at Earth. Still dark. Still. Quiet. Still waiting. And that silence? It was about to end. The resistance wakes up the Zarnak. Thought. Earth was silent. But the silence was only the beginning. It started with a sound. Soft whistle in the middle of a ruined city. In what was left. Of London, ash floated like snow. Buildings were cracked, streets broken. A patrol of Zarnak soldiers moved carefully through the wreckage. Then they heard it. A whistle. Just one. Then 2. Then 20. Suddenly, the ground beneath them exploded. From under the rubble, human fighters. Rose-dressed in dark armor, faces masked. They moved fast, without speaking. Their weapons were quiet, but deadly. One by one, the Zarnak soldiers fell. The last one tried to run, but he didn't get far. A teenage boy stepped in his path. He wore a torn coat, one eye bruised, the other burning with anger. He raised a simple hunting bowled tech. No energy. But the arrow struck with perfect aim. The alien dropped. The boy whispered to the wind, for my mother. Then he vanished into the smoke. Across the globe, the same thing happened. In the forests of Brazil. Hidden fighters used vines and mud to trap patrols. In the icy streets of Moscow, former soldiers used old subway tunnels to strike from below. In rural India, villagers passed messages in code moving food, gear, and people through hidden paths no satellite could see. The resistance had no single leader. No headquarters, but they had a purpose. Protect Earth. And destroy every invader who stepped foot on it. In a burned-out church in Berlin, 4 people gathered around a table made of stone. Each wore a different uniform. Old patches. Faded flags. An old man with a scar across his neck said, "They think we're weak." The woman next to him checked her rifle. "Let them think that." A younger man asked, "When do we strike?" The woman smiled. "We already did." She nodded toward the screen. Reports came in. Enemy unit lost Paris. Zarnak drone down Kenya. Human raid successful Tokyo sector. All over the world, humans were fighting back. Small groups. Small weapons. But big results. Commander Threx stood over the map inside. His flagship. It was blinking. Red zones. More red. He clenched his fists. How are they doing this? We destroyed their networks. His officer replied nervously, "They're not using networks. They're using whispers, signals, messengers. We can't track it." Threx growled. "These creatures live in caves and ruins. How are they beating us?" Another voice answered from behind. "They're not beating you with weapons." It was a captured scientist and alien trader who once lived on Earth. They're beating you with their will. In a bunker beneath South America, a young girl named Lonnie passed messages using a flashlight and mirror. She was only 10, but she had already helped 6 wounded soldiers escape enemy zones. When asked why she risked her life, she simply said, "Because they hurt my dog." And the room went quiet. In the remains of an airport in Australia, A lone human sniper lay still for 6 hours, unmoving. He had no food, no water. But when the Zarnik general walked into his scope, he took the shot. The alien. Commander fell without a sound. The humans didn't cheer. They didn't post it online. They just moved. And still, Earth Command remained silent. General Holt watched from his underground base. Every time a resistance unit succeeded, a green dot blinked on his screen. Hundreds of them now. He turned to his team. "They're ready," he said. "Every squad, every cell, every hidden bunker." A young officer asked, "What now, sir?" Holt pressed a code into the terminal. "Now," he said, "we wake the old ghosts." The terminal screen flashed. Project Blacklight, Phase 2 UNLO CDDD back in orbit. The Zarnik ships hovered waiting for Earth to break. Instead, Earth was moving. Quietly, cleverly, deadly. And for the first time since the invasion began, Commander Threx felt something cold inside his chest. In the shadows of Earth's ruins, fighters gathered. No flags, no uniforms, just humans. Survivors, fighters, deathworlders. And all across the stars. The Galactic Council watched in silence, because now they saw the truth. Earth had not been conquered. It has been waking up. Project Blacklight beneath the Rocky Mountains, behind 10 security doors and a vault sealed by DNA code. Something ancient came back to life. Red lights flashed. Cold steel doors opened, and the room began to shake. This was not just a bunker. It was the Blacklight Core, Earth's last secret, a place even most generals didn't know existed. Built in. Silence. Hidden for decades. Now. Activated. General Marcus Holt stood inside the command room. Watching the lights come on. He gave a simple order. Begin Phase 2. Deep underground, long-forgotten machines began to wake. Massive humanoid shapes, part steel, part muscle, stood in glass chambers. Each was twice the size of a tank, powered by nuclear cores and designed for one purpose: total enemy destruction. They were not robots. They were Blacklight units, experimental warriors, born from science and rage. Some were piloted by elite humans. Others were controlled by advanced AIs, and all of them had only one target: Zarnik invaders. In the vault's armory, powerful weapons were loaded onto trucks. Plasma rifles, EMP mortar. ILGUNs. But most deadly of all, something never used before: the pulse hammer, a cannon that didn't just destroy matter. It erased it. One of the scientists whispered, "This thing could level a mountain." General Holt replied, "Then aim it at something bigger." In orbit, Commander Threx stared at the tactical screen. For the first time in 3 days, something had changed. Earth was moving. Signals, energy surges, heat spikes. Threx growled, "What are they doing down there?" His officer replied, We don't know. But something's rising from underground. Where? Everywhere. In the Amazon jungle, a large clearing cracked open. From beneath the soil, a Blacklight unit rose tall, dark, glowing red. It stepped forward, silent, scanning the forest. In Siberia, another emerged from an ice field, steam hissing off its shoulders. In Africa's deserts, 3 machines walked in a line, leaving melted sand behind. People across the world looked up and saw them. Not monsters. Not heroes. Something else. And hope returned to human eyes. At the edge of a ruined city in Poland, a Blacklight unit stood before a line of Zarnik tanks. The aliens opened fire. The machine didn't move. It walked through the blasts like dust. Then it raised one hand and fired a rail beam. All tanks vanished in a flash of light. A child hiding nearby whispered, "What is that?" An old man beside her smiled weakly. "That's what we were saving." The council, watching from orbit, went into chaos. "What is this technology?" one shouted. "Earth had this all along?" A Zentari ambassador stood slowly. They warned. "Use once long ago," he said. "They said if they were ever invaded, we wouldn't recognize what came next." He sat down. "And now, we don't." In the main Zarno command ship, Threx gritted his teeth. "Deploy elite squads. Take those machines down." But it was too late. Earth was already fighting back. In the ruins of New Delhi. Resistance fighters joined a black light unit in battle. They didn't give it orders. They fought beside it, and the machine protected them like one of its own. Bullets flew. Aliens screamed. And the people of Earth rose from the ashes. Inside Earth's command bunker. General Holt watched it all. He pressed a button. Open global channel. Every screen on Earth flickered to life, even those in space. The Galactic Council's feed froze. Zarnog warships paused. And then Holt's face peered, calm, controlled, burning with quiet fire. He said only this, to the galaxy watching us: "Burn, this is Earth's answer." The screen shifted. Black light units rising, aliens falling, humans standing tall. And one final message appeared across every system. You wanted war. We waited. Now we end it. From the stars to the dirt, everyone heard it, and no one would forget it. The broadcast to Earth was no longer silent. Cities still burned, but the flames were now behind the humans, not in front of them. The black light units marched through broken streets. Resistance fighters took back every inch of lost ground. Zarnog patrols? Gone. Zarnog tanks? Destroyed. And above them, Earth's sky began to clear, for the first time since the invasion. But Earth wasn't finished. Not yet. Now it was time to speak. To the invaders. To the Council. To the whole galaxy. In a hidden chamber. Beneath Earth Command, General Marcus Holt stood in front of a camera. The room was small. No background. No special lights. Just one man, and a message that would echo across the stars. He looked into the lens. His voice was calm. His eyes were full of steel. "Begin the broadcast," he said. At that moment, every screen on Earth lit up. Every ship in orbit froze. Every council chamber went dark, then filled with the image of a man. General Holt, speaking directly to them. "This is Earth," he said. "You watched us burn." He paused. "You watched as our cities fell, as our children screamed, as our people bled." He leaned closer. "You said nothing. You did nothing." Now his voice hardened. "We begged for peace. You gave us war. We asked for help. You turned away." The screen shifted. It showed footage of London, Paris, and New York during the first strikes. Fires, crashes, panic. Then it changed. Black light units walking through flames. Resistance fighters pulling survivors from rubble. A sniper team saluting. A passing Met. Then Holt's voice returned. "We are not afraid anymore. You broke our silence. Now hear our answer." The screen split again. Multiple feeds showed Earth's counterattack. Zarnog warships exploding in orbit. Drones being shredded mid-air. Human fighters coordinating across continents. A black light unit lifting a child and shielding her with its massive body. Then, one final image. The pulse hammer. Charged, glowing, aimed at a Zarnog mothership. In the Zarnog flagship, Commander Threx stared at the screen. The Earth signal had taken over everything. He slammed his fist down. "Cut this transmission." His techs tried. Nothing worked. One whispered, "They're broadcasting through quantum slipspace, sir. Even the Council can't block it." Threx's breathing grew heavy. "Then they've already won." On the Galactic Council floor, no. One spoke. The Earth broadcast played on every wall, even the species that once mocked. Humans now sat still afraid to blink. The ambassador from Valakar, who once laughed at human weakness, leaned back in his seat and whispered, "This is not a species. It's a storm." The screen returned to General Holt. His voice lowered. "One final message to the galaxy. We are Earth. We don't start wars, but we finish them." He looked directly at the camera. "Touch our people again, and we will show you what silence really hides." Then the screen cut to black. Across the stars, reactions exploded. Some feared Earth. Some respected it. But none ignored it. Every major species paused their wars. Peace treaties were suddenly signed. Trade offers were rewritten. Earth had become something new. Not just a planet. Not just a species. A force. A warning. In the ruins of Cairo, a young girl watched the broadcast on a cracked tablet. Her father had died in the first attack. Her school was gone. Her street didn't exist anymore. But she smiled. "Did you see that, Mama?" She whispered. "They're scared of us now." Up in orbit, the pulse hammer fired. It struck the Zarnok command ship. And for the first time in history, a capital-class warship vanished without a trace. No fire. No wreckage. Just gone. Back in Earth Command, Holt turned away from the now dark camera. He said nothing more. He didn't need to. The message had been sent, and the galaxy would never forget it. Earth strikes back. The Zarnok invasion had failed. Their ground forces were scattered. Their warships were in retreat. And now, Earth wasn't just defending anymore. It was attacking from hidden silos. In Alaska, sleek black ships launched into space fast, silent, and deadly. These weren't normal fighters. They were part of Earth's Phantom Fleet, a classified strike force built in secret after the first alien contact years ago. Each ship carried advanced weapons and one clear mission: take the war to the stars. General Marcus Holt stood inside Earth Command, watching the live tactical feed. Green lines moved across the map. Earth's units. Red ones? Zarnok fleets. He pointed at 3 blinking red zones on the edge of the solar system. Destroy everything in those sectors, he ordered. No warnings. One of the officers looked up. "Sir, what about the Council?" Holt didn't blink. "They watched us burn. Let them watch us rise." The first Earth strike hit the Zarnok supply fleet orbiting Saturn. 3 massive alien ships were surrounded in seconds. Earth's drones hacked their shields. Railguns fired at close range. In 23 seconds. All 3 enemy ships were gone. In a far-off system called Fabrics, the Zarnok had a weapons factory hidden under a moon's surface. Earth's second strike force arrived silently. They planted charges in the tunnels. As the alien workers scrambled to respond. The entire moon cracked apart, exploding like a firework across the night sky. Back on the Zarnok homeworld, panic spread. Government leaders argued. Soldiers mutinied. Civilians fled underground. Their proud empire had never been touched like this before. And now, Earth was at their gates. Commander Threx, still alive, arrived at his homeworld's defense center. He was bruised. His armor cracked. He looked around the command hall. No one spoke. He stared at the sky above the capital. Blinked. Then 2. Then 50. Threx took one shaky breath. From orbit, Earth's fleet hovered in silence. Black ships with no markings. No signal. No banners. Just power. On board the lead ship, Captain Elara Singh stood tall. She stared at the enemy capital glowing below. Her voice was cold, sharp like steel. Begin orbital strike. Precision only. Civilian zones protected. One officer nodded. "Yes, Captain." Another whispered, "Why are we showing them mercy?" Elara answered softly, "Because that's what makes us human." Lasers fell from the sky fast and bright. Alien. Command towers exploded. Military centers collapsed. Factory nodes vaporized. The Zarnok had no chance to fight back. Their ships were disabled before they could even launch. It was not war. It was a surgical execution. In orbit. A live transmission reached Earth Command. A Zarnok ambassador appeared on the screen, tired, shaking. We ask for peace. He sighed. We surrender. General Holt leaned forward. I'm not the one you need to speak to. He transferred the call to the Galactic Council. Inside the council chambers, leaders of many worlds watched as the Zarnok ambassador fell to his knees. We broke the law, he said. We invaded without cause. Earth showed us mercy even when we gave none. He bowed his head. We ask for protection. Not from them, but under them. Silence filled the chamber. Then the Earth representative stood up, a calm woman named Ambassador Ruth Navarro. She looked at the council. Her voice was quiet, but firm. Let this be clear to every world here. We didn't want this war. But now that you've seen what Earth can do, remember this. We're not monsters. She paused. But if you ever hurt us again, we won't just defend. We will finish it. On Earth, people gathered. In city squares, screens lit up with footage of the invasion ending. Black light units powering down. Soldiers returning home. Families hugging in streets. A little girl in Paris pointed at the sky and said, "We're not afraid anymore." Her mother smiled and said, "They are." Back in orbit, Captain Alara watched the enemy homeworld shrink behind them as the ships returned to Earth. A young pilot beside her asked, "Do you think they'll try again?" Alara smiled faintly. "Not after this." And in the stars above, where no banners flew and no armies cheered, one message echoed. Don't wake a sleeping world, because sometimes the quiet ones hit back the hardest. The new galactic rule, the war was over. The Zarnok had fallen, their fleets were gone, their cities were quiet, and Earth stood tall. But this story wasn't just about war. Now came something bigger. Justice. Memory. A new rule for the galaxy. In the Galactic Council Hall, hundreds of species gathered. The dome above them showed the stars, each one marking a world that had watched Earth burn. The chamber was silent. Then the Earth ambassador stepped forward. Her name was Ruth Navarro. Calm, sharp, respected. She wore no weapons, no armor, only a black uniform with one symbol on the chest. She walked to the center and looked around. Then she spoke. Earth was invaded. You watched it happen. Some of you stayed silent. Others cheered. None of you helped. The room shifted. Some looked away. Others lowered their heads. Navarro didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. We begged for peace. They gave us fire. So we answered. She stepped closer to the council table. And now, a choice must be made. A tall alien counselor stood. His skin was silver and soft, his voice full of shame. We thought humans were not ready. Navarro looked straight at him. You were wrong. Another counselor asked, What do you want, Ambassador? She replied clearly, Not power, not control. We want a law. She tapped a small cube on the table. A hologram filled the air. Scenes from the invasion. Zarnok ships firing on cities human. Children hiding in tunnels, black light units rising from the ground Earth ships in orbit over the enemy capital. The pulse hammer firing once, erasing a warship, then the message. Touch Earth again, and the stars will fall. Ambassador Navarro turned back to the council. We propose the Earth Protection Protocol. Any attack on Earth or its colonies will be treated as an attack on all member worlds. Any species who breaks this law will be met with full defense by Earth and any allies who choose to stand with us. She paused, because silence should never protect cruelty again. At first, no one spoke. Then, slowly, hands began to rise. One counselor, then 10, then 50, then all. The law passed, unanimous. Earth was no longer alone. Back on Earth, the skies were blue again. Children returned to school. Shops reopened. People hugged each other on the streets. They would never forget the pain, the silence, the fire, and the moment everything changed, in the ruins of Terra Falls. Now rebuilt, a statue was raised. A child holding a flower, a resistance fighter behind her, and above them, a black light unit. Standing guard, at the base, a plaque read, "We were quiet once. Never again." In orbit, Earth's fleet returned home, no celebration, just purpose. They had fought not for glory, but for survival. And they had earned their place, not by begging, not by fear, but by standing back up when the galaxy expected them. To fall, in the stars, alien worlds whispered a new phrase to their children. Never strike Earth. They don't yell. They don't scream. They just come. And far beyond, in dark space, where distant empires watched and waited, they marked one thing in their war books, a red symbol, asterisk, the end.